Buongiorno everybody, this is Alexander King, and as you probably can tell, I am now finally in my new apartment now, guys. I know over the last month I have not been very active on the channel. I still have uploaded a few original songs which you can of course check out, and please do let me know what you think about them, because any feedback it's always very much appreciated. But when it comes to reaction reviews and in-depth analysis, it's been a bit lacking over the last month, specifically for this reason. So now that I do have the apartment, I'm waiting again, as you probably can see, on some very important furniture. So the setup of these videos might change a little bit. But yeah, from now on it will be business as usual on the channel. So some very frequent uploads. And especially some formulas like the one that we're going to test out today, guys. This is a full album reaction, first thought about it, and there is no better way to start this off than with Queens of the Stone Age. Now, guys, Queens of the Stone Age are one of my favorite bands overall. Their album, like Songs for the Deaf, Rated R, but especially Like Clockwork, which is one of my all-time favorite records. I'm a huge fan, so as soon as I heard a couple of months back that they were going to release a new record, I honestly couldn't wait to get into it and listen to it. I purposely stayed away from the singles. I just listened to the first one, just to, you know, go through and leave the actual album experience. It's also one of the reasons why I want to try with this format on the channel, because it's the way that I like to enjoy music the most. And I think that also, you know, for someone like me that works and produces and writes his own music, there is a certain beauty and a certain importance and balance in a track list and the way that the whole record flows. So, guys, without further ado, because I've really been waiting to listen to this for a long time and I've already been talking way too long. This is Queens of the Stone Age. The album is called In Times New Roman. It's 10 songs, 47 minutes long, so it seems like a good balance as well. And we're starting things off with Obscenery. Guys, I'm so excited. Let's go. The tone of that bass, Jesus Christ. Fuzzy guitar, and that bass is so cool. I can tell already this live is gonna be amazing. Guys, I love Queens of the Stone Age. And the little upbeats. Guys, the song structure already just... There are more original choices in this song than in most of the mainstream rock that you hear. Guys, this is the perfect introduction, I think, to the record. I don't know if, of course, genre-wise they're gonna stick to this. I'm already happy production-wise, what I hear from this and what I heard from the other song that I actually heard, which is Emotion Sickness. There is a kind of a back to the, not back to the origins, but it's a little bit of a step back compared to the last record, which was a little bit more polished, at least when it comes to the sounds. Of course, I don't know what's going to happen in the other 8 songs, I guess, but it seems like they're back into those heavier fuzz and very distorted guitar sounds, which I absolutely love. Very quickly, guys, that little orchestral break in the middle, so random, absolutely loved it. Beautiful riff, very catchy. Again, live this is gonna be amazing and a very danceable song. So they're the king of the upstrokes and the king of the upbeats. Wow, guys, fantastic intro. Let's go to Paper Machete. It's so catchy, guys. I'm getting like Little Sister vibes. And again, the heavy fuzz. The upbeat, guys, the upbeat. It stops and goes. I cannot wait to play this riff already. 2 songs in, and we already have so many Queens of the Stone Age elements. I'm so happy right now. Oh my god, guys, already. Again, as I said for the first one, they're the king of the I should say the queens, maybe, of the upbeat and the outstrokes. This is right down Queens of the Stone Age alley, like that type of song, like your Go With The Flow, Little Sister, like those very driving songs that are very easy to dance to, very rock and roll, but with very distorted sounds on top. And it's something that I've also heard on the last Foo Fighters record. There is a much stronger use of the very distorted fuzz guitar sound, which I'm really enjoying. And the guitar solo, guys, besides being very catchy, in general as a song, it has that chaotic, catchy guitar solo style that Josh Homme has gotten used to. And I absolutely love that. Like, in general, I love a chaotic guitar solo. I think that comes from, listening a lot to grunge and Soundgarden with Kim Taylor and Kurt Cobain, like guitar solos that do not necessarily have a very straight pentatonic melody, which of course I also love, having a strong blues background. But a guitar solo like this has a lot of power and chaos that it's just, you don't know where it's going. It's really hard to predict even as a guitar player, and maybe that's why I really enjoy this style. But it's his style, and maybe I will probably do one video at a certain stage just trying to understand, to explain a little bit more what I mean. But Josh Homme has such a distinctive sound and such a distinctive way. It almost has his own scale when it comes to the guitar solos, which is fantastic. It's so uncommon. Beautiful song. I can see again this one being played live and being a huge people pleaser and concert goer pleasers. It's just very easy to dance to and nod your head along to. Fantastic, classic Queens of the Stone Age. That's what you're getting so far. Let's move on to Negative Space, track number 3. Slower tempo, but so chunky. Almost a rated R vocal melody. Loving that accent. It goes cymbal and kick together, and then kick cymbal with the snare. Again, the upbeat. Such a groovy, sexy two very different guitar sounds. That's the Josh Homme. Brilliant, guys. This one, I think that the star in this song were the drums, 100%. The drums and the vocal melody, especially at the end with Josh going into that very Queens of the Stone Age vibe and vocal line. Absolutely lovely, with the whole harmonies, like for the whole song, the dual vocal lines. So of course one harmonizing on top of the other in that very high and very recognizable falsetto that Josh Homme goes into. And a line that very interestingly he took also on the guitar solo, if it's in playing, I don't know, but even in the guitar solos there were two very different lines, one that was lower and much more distorted with that fuzz, and the other one which was much more cleaner, I should say, and a bit stronger when it comes to the high hands. So, going to occupy different frequencies in the mix, a little bit like you do with the vocals when you go and harmonize. It didn't necessarily go a lot of octaves higher with the sound of the guitar, but with the mixing and the actual tone of the guitar when you went and tuned that sound in. Beautiful. Very interesting, of course, the drop in bass compared to Pepper Machete. A fantastic mid-tempo song, very Queens of the Stone Age again. This one reminded me a lot of like the Rated R. Rated R Lullabies to Paralyze, the songs for a death to a certain extent, but fantastic, guys. We're getting like great song one after the other. Now it's time to Time and Place, track number 4. Nice. The guitar riff is in 3/4 beats, so every 4 beats it just gets in sync again. Just creates this bouncing effect. It's fantastic. Beautiful panning. Keeps going. The little free riff. They are so creative within the classical song structure. That's what I love so much about one of the many things, as you might have noticed already. This is one of those get lost in the music songs from Queens of the Stone Age, which are wow. Fantastic. Oh my god, guys, this is so good. There is one thing that I want to expand upon real quick before we move on to the 5th song on the record. What I mentioned, they managed to be creative within the original song structure. So you take a song like this, for example, which has a very repetitive nature to it. So it has a very driving bass riff. If you hear it closer, it's like do 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 do. It's almost 2 notes for the whole song. You have that riff in 3 from the guitar. The rhythm section with the drums going on a 4 beat, pretty straightforward, except of course when they mix it up, as they always do. And some chaotic, somewhat chaotic and somewhat very organized guitar lead, kind of random, spread all over the track, and of course the vocals. But the way that they manage to arrange these elements and they make them drop out and then come back, even though they're always the same and they're so consistent, keep you both interested because you don't know how they're going to approach it next. And also, again, they just make you completely lost, which comes from the very repetitive nature of the song. It's the same that happens with techno music, for example. Just you have a very repetitive song. I know that there are some people that dislike it because they get bored of it. But if it's a sound that you like and it's very repetitive of this nature, at least for me, I just tend to get lost in it. So this song could have been 10 minutes long and I would have still been jamming along to it without really paying too much attention to what happens around me, I guess. Beautiful, beautiful. We are going to listen now to Made to Parade, which is the 5th track, and then we're going to stop for a second just for a first impressions. But without further ado, guys, track number 5. Again, loving the octave with the vocals. They are also groovy. Opening up again. Beautiful use of space. 2 guitars completely bent. There is so much going on sonically. Almost marching drums as well, since the melody opened up like this. Are we gonna get the fade out? I love that, guys, because you can think of, you can see that they thought of it as a record. Like halfway through you have to go and flip the vinyl, so track 5 you have the fade out. It's the little details that I just absolutely love when it comes to stuff like this. It's not that common, I guess, nowadays to approach a record as an actual record, like a vinyl record, where, of course, due to the limited runtime that you can get on each side, it's always split in 2. It's part A and part B. I don't know if this is also going to reflect on the sound that they're going to go for. And because that's one of the things that I do want to touch upon before we jump on to the second half, so the part B, I guess, of the record. And that is compared to both the last two records, so Villains and Like Clockwork, there is a little bit less variety when it comes to the vibe and the sound selection, I think. This is a bit more straightforward, as far as I can tell on a first listen, of course. It's more straightforward in the sense of the sound selection and the type of song. So more driving or mid-tempo song without, for example, more ballady breaks, or songs that are a little bit more experimental, let's say. I think that they play, I don't want to say that they're playing it safe, but it's a little bit more like again, like a not stripped down, but kind of. It's like those basic core elements of Queens of the Stone Age that are in full swing, and they're absolutely like organized and played in fantastically well, starting from the drums, the upstrokes and the uptempos, the melodies, the dual vocal melodies and the short guitar melodies, the sound of the guitar with that heavy fuzz that it's very desert rock, of course. So far, I have to say, in the first half, it's absolutely beautiful. For me, at the first listen, at the moment, it's better than Villains, the last record. Just because I think that this sound appeals to me a little bit more compared to that. But we still have 5 songs to go, guys, so extremely excited to check those out. And we're starting with track number 6, which is called Carnivore. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I think it was the second single. Let's have a listen, guys. Let's see how they open it up. Feels like I might have spoken too soon. Getting almost an R&B vibe with a desert rock. Not even 2 minutes in, but I think I already have my so far favorite of the record, guys. Strings. Jesus Christ. The drums bend to the left. Who does that? Wow, guys, this is fantastic. This is by far, at the moment, for now, this is by far the best song on this record. At the first listen, this is already, like, there are so many things to unpack. I cannot wait to go back and listen to it. It's so good. It's giving me, like, classic Queens of the Stone Age vibe right off the bat, which doesn't happen often. It's something that happened to me, for example, with I Appear Missing. The first time that I listened to that song, I became absolutely obsessed with it, and that's actually the point where my love for Like Clockwork started. And I don't even know if it was the first single or not, but ever since that video came out, I just got so much into that and so much anticipation for the record, which then actually delivered. But guys, this song, so many original choices production-wise that, again, like, are bending the drums, or at least the snare, to the left, while you have your bass to the right, where usually both of those things are kind of in the center, or at least you try to, emulate the setup of an actual drum kit. So you can go either completely full in the center, just to keep the sound all very concise and straight up, or you can go usually you have the hi-hat slightly bent to the left, together with maybe the highest of the crashes or the cymbals. And then progressively you move, like, for example, you have the snare, of course, always at the center with the kick, and then the tones that just move around a little bit. So you're trying basically to replicate the actual setup of a drum kit as if you were playing or listening, if you want to do it the other way around. But again, this was completely all over the place. The sounds that they came up with at certain times, like the first time that the chorus came around, they dropped almost everything, so it was a very stripped down production of the chorus with a lot of focus on the vocals. Then during the second verse, they brought like this beautiful swell of strings that just almost drowned everything else. The same thing happened again at the end, and then just this burst of this electric, very distorted, dirty electric bass with the drums. Completely saturated sound, like so over the top. Wow, what a song, guys, what a song. Anyway, let's move on to number 7, because if I keep on talking about that song, I think that this video is going to be like 4 hours long. What the people, nice wordplay, say. Let's go. Already I wanna dance. 2 seconds. This one is giving more like villains vibe. Chromatic riff, very. Bass solo, nice. Burst of sound. Again, guitar is completely panned. Nice. Guys, the level has been so high so far, so solid. This is fantastic. It's also one of the things that I usually enjoy about records that are 10 songs long, 8 to 10, let's say 8 to 11, 12 to a maximum, but it's like you do a proper selection and you have such solid, like back to back. You can just dance along to every single one of these songs. Or just this one was the most straightforward, I think, together with Pepper Machete in a different way. So Pepper Machete was like the more kind of the old school, again, very Queens of the Stone Age drive type song. This was more the dance Queens of the Stone Age, the more recent evolution, you can say, of the band, but beautifully mixed, of course, with those sounds. And the second half of the song, when just the guitar riffs come, they just come in very straight without any fluff. It's just a very straightforward driven rock and roll track. Beautiful. Let's move on to the next one, guys. So far it's wow. Track number 8, Sicily, which is where I was born, in case you didn't know. Very moody octave playing all the way to the back to the right. Ah, nice. Oriental vibe. That bend makes all the difference. Ta-da-da-da-ta-da-ta. Again, guys, it's the little things. He is giving me like the desert session vibes. Very jam quality to it. Guitar to the middle. And now the drums come back to the right. Here's another one of those that you can just get yourself lost in. Yeah, guys, in this second half of the record they're taking many more risks. Not risks as in, again, as I said, it's not like they were being lazy in the first half or playing it safe, but there is a bit more experimentation when it comes to the sounds that are involved and that have been used, and I really like that. I really like that. I think that it complements very well. Like you need a little bit of both for a very strong record overall and a very cohesive experience. Which again, it's why I like to listen to records compared to just songs as a whole, like in general, because I think that every song, maybe if you take a song like this by itself, it's one thing, but if you throw it in the midst of a record like this, it's a very different experience, and you appreciate certain elements, I think, even more, again, because of the flow and how they brought you to this place. Fantastic, guys. Again, even the succession and track listing so far, it makes so much sense. Like they're making it flow so nicely. I'm so satisfied right now. We have the last two songs, one of which I've already listened to. Of course, it's the first single, Emotion Sickness. Let's go again. It's a lot of these things, like when you leave these type of sounds. It's so good, guys. I haven't been listening to this much since it came out, maybe 3 or 4 times. Oh my god. You can see why they picked it as a leading single. It has so many of those elements that we talked about. So many layers, as with every single song that we listen to. I think that the bass steals the scene in this song for me. If you go in and listen to it, fantastic. The stops and goes. Again, guys, it's like so many of the elements that we talked about condensed into this. As I said, you can see why it's a single. Yeah, guys, I mean, I already knew this song, but it's definitely not a problem listening to it again. So good. But with I don't want to spend too much time talking about this again. Like, I know that I didn't do a reaction on the channel for this, but there are so many elements, as I said, even during the song, that just ties everything together. Like it's a quintessential Queens of the Stone Age experience, which, as I said multiple times already, it's why I think they chose it as the leading single, because it's going to satisfy every fan. Like, I'd be extremely surprised if there is any Queens of the Stone Age fan that wouldn't actually like that song a lot. But it actually goes, like, I think that it's true for most of the songs that we heard on this record. I think that fans of the band are going to be very pleased. But of course, I will expand on that a bit more at the end of the record. Now we have the last one, and arguably the one that I've been the most intrigued by, given the length. Now it might also be that they do the old school thing of leaving empty space at the end, or maybe it actually is a 9-minute song. Extremely curious to see that. But guys, without further ado, the last track of this so far brilliant record, Straight Jacket Fitting. If you see me squinching my eyes, it's because I'm not wearing my lenses. Jesus. We're almost in a bluesy territory. Nice. The harmonies between the voice and the guitars are fantastic. Plus this stop and go. Fantastic effect on the voice as well. It almost sounds back with a forward reverb and a delay to the left. The way the choir, the backing vocals work with the strings, that lead guitar with the vocals, it's beautiful. They play off of each other. So we actually get an outro. Beautiful. I think it's a cello. very psychedelic guitar on top, and then the two acoustic guitars. Guys, it's I don't think that I have that much to say besides what I've already told during the songs and the reactions. This last song was beautiful. You know that earlier on I said that that song could be, I think it was the fourth one. It could go on for like 10 minutes and I'd still be lost in it, completely lost in it, and it could go on and on and on. This is kind of what happened with this one. Of course, the outro was a little bit different, but everything that led to that place, a little bit of variation, but based on the same structure that repeats itself. Especially in the second verse, I think it was more like an extended second verse compared to the first one. It just kept going with a very beautiful effect on the vocals. And of course, it drew a lot of attention on the voice itself and what it was saying. And that is one of the things that I do want to say, guys. I've gone through this whole record without paying attention to the lyrics, which is something that I will want to do. If you guys know me and if you're familiar with the channel, you know that it's not something that I do on a first listen. I tend to consider the voice as an instrument more or less and just following that. So unless there is something that really stands out while I listen, lyrics wise, I don't necessarily pay a lot of attention to it. But of course I know that this album was written during a very difficult time for Joshomi and the whole band as a consequence of that. So I'll be very curious to go and see how those, if first of all, and how those personal issues affected the theme of the record. If I base it purely on a musical standpoint, I cannot really see that. Like it's a much more, as I said during the chorus, like compared to the last one, compared to Williams, I see a lot more recalls in a way to the origin of the band and the origins of the band. Some parts that actually reminded me of the Desert Sessions, which is something that I love, something a bit more, you know, a bit less produced, maybe a little bit less polished, but still polished enough to sound, of course, like it's been properly manufactured and produced and mixed and all of that. But you know, there are some harsher elements when it comes to the music production and some very bold choices that I don't think that they did in the last record. Now, the last record was, of course, the dance record that they did, or at least that was their intent. And it was brilliant at that, but I think that it lacked, in my opinion, was the solidity when it comes to the tracklist. So I feel like there were a few fillers in a way, or at least songs that I enjoy when I listen to them, but then I wouldn't necessarily go back and listen to just those songs. There's easily a bit too easy to skip within the context of the record. This is something that didn't happen, not for a second, on this one. Of course, it's only a first listen, so time will tell. The more you listen to a song, of course, maybe, for example, the seventh one, what the people say. At the first listen, it was very enjoyable because it's more straightforward, so maybe over time and over repetitive consecutive listens, that might get tiring. I don't know. Only time will tell again when it comes to this thing. First impression and what I can say right now, even though maybe I'm a little bit biased by everything and Queen's of the Stone Age being back and having a new record and having enjoyed that so much, I do not see that happening for any of these songs. Like, it seems such a strong, solid record, which calls for a back-to-back listen all the time. And that's the best thing that I could wish for when I approach a new record from a band that I love. It was by far my most anticipated record of the year, together with Social Distortion. I don't know if that one is coming out this year. Both of them, by the way, Mike Ness and Joshomi, are dealing with cancer, so best of luck to them. Of course, they're two of my biggest musical influences and heroes when it comes to guitar playing and songwriting. So I really wish both of them a speedy recovery. But yeah, guys, I think that I'm going to reserve my judgment at a later stage as an overall review of the record. Standout track, if I have to pick one, is Carnivore, or if that's how you say it, I don't know, track number 6. Phenomenal song at the first listen already. It doesn't even need time to grow on me, and I'm sure that it will, which will make it explode, I think, in my inner rankings when it comes to Queen's of the Stone Age songs and material. this was a brilliant first listen. Very, 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 very positive first impression for this record. I cannot wait to go back and listen to it, as I said, also with the aid of the lyrics and getting a little bit more insight, I guess, about the thematics of the records. Guys, if you made it this far, this has been, of course, a very long video. I don't know if you're seeing this as an edited version or the full thing, which I guess will be easily north of the hour. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching and for sticking with it. Thank you so much for joining me on this listening party of Queens of the Stone Age's new record, In Times New Roman. Let me know if this is a formula that you like, because I'm planning on doing this much more. So give me your feedback if you have tips, if you prefer an edited version of this, or if you want to see and hear the full thing, the full listening experience. And of course, as always, guys, there is also my own music. If you're willing to give it a try, and if you're curious to know, how everything that I listen to affects what I write and what I perform as well, you can find the links to my own singles somewhere around here. As always, in the description, whatever it is. Any feedback, it's extremely appreciated for that. And of course, last but not least, let me know what you think about this record. If you enjoyed it, what's your favorite track of that, if you're a Queens of the Stone Age fan or not. Any input is, as always, much more welcome. And that's always my favorite part of these videos, guys, is actually getting to interact with you guys in the comments and starting a conversation around music. So yeah, guys, thanks again if you made it this far, and I'll catch you at the next one. Bye.